Good morning, sir.
I am Christian.
I am Zarina.
I am Jane.
I am Genevieve Rose.
I'm Raniel Rex.
And we are going to discuss about First Mass in Butuan. First, we are going to discuss about the one of historical events happened in the Philippines, which is the first Catholic Mass held in the Philippines. And to prove a point stand about the first Mass was in Butuan City, Masao and not Limasawa, Southern Leyte. The first ever Easter Mass in the Philippines, a landmark in the history of Philippine Christianity, was held in 1521 on the island of Mazoa, known today as Limasawa Island, Leyte. The first documented Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held on March 31, 1521, Easter Sunday. It was conducted by Father Pedro de Valderrama or of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition along the shores of what was referred to in the journals of Antonio Pigafetta as Mazoa.
Other Filipino historians has long contested the idea of Limasawa as the site of the first Catholic Mass in the country. Historian Sonia Zaidia identified Masao, also Mazoa, in Butuan as the location of the first Christian Mass. Basis of Zaidi's claim is the diary of Antonio Pigafetta, Chronicle of Magellan's Voyage. In 1995, the Congresswoman Ching Plaza of Agusan del Norte, Butuan City, filed a bill in Congress contesting the Limasawa hypothesis and assisting the site of the first mass was Butuan. In Philippine Congress referred the matter to the National Historical Institute for it to study the issue and recommended a historical finding. The NHI or National Historical Institute chairperson or chairman Dr. Samuel Kitan reaffirmed Limasawa was the site of the first mass.
On March 31, 1521, an Easter Sunday, Magellan ordered a Mass to be celebrated, which was officiated by Father Pedro Valderrama, the Andalusian chaplain of the fleet, the only priest then. Conducted near the shores of the islands, the first Holy Mass marked in the birth of Roman Catholicism in the Philippines. Colombo and Siao were the first natives of the archipelago, which was not yet named Philippines until the expedition of Roy Lopez de Villalobos in 1543 to attend the Mass among the other native inhabitants. In the account of Pigafetta, Gomez noticed that he failed to mention some points of the journey where the masses were held. One example is when they were at the port of San Julian, Pigafetta mentioned about a mass held on Palm Sunday, which was held on April 1, 1520, during their voyage to the west, but never mentioned about Easter Sunday. Same, same situation happened when the fleet arrived in the Philippines. Pigafetta only mentioned about the Easter Sunday Mass while he is silent on the Palm Sunday.
Butuan City. Easter Sunday fell on March 31 exactly as it was in 1521 when Ferdinand Magellan went ashore on an island called Mazawa, and as his chaplain to celebrate what became known as the first Mass in the Philippines. Official Philippine history says the first Mass was held in Limasawa, but Catholic historiography and tradition point to Butuan as the site of the first Eucharistic celebration in the Philippines, saying Father Josilio Amalia of the Diocese of Butuan, whose scholarly work Mazawa Controversy, Truth Uncovered, commissioned by the President of the Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines or CBCP, Bishop Dirio Ochimar of Tandag, Surigao del Sur is ready for publication.
Father Silito Amalia, trustee of the Butuan Cultural and Historical Foundation INC, and curator of the Butuan Diocese Museum. June 19, 1960, RA number 2733, Declaration of Magellan, Limasawa as the national shrine of the first mass ever held in the country.
Today, this site is widely believed by many historians and government to be the Masawa of the tip of southern Leyte. However, until at least 19th century, the prevailing belief was that the first mass was held in Butuan. This belief is maintained by some who assert that the first mass was instead held at Masao, Butuan. Using the primary source available, Jesuit priest Miguel A. Bernal in his work Butuan or Limasawa, the site of the first mass in the Philippines, our examination of evidence in 1981 lays down the argument that in Butuan is riverine settlement situated on the Agusan River.
2 days earlier, on March 29, 1521, Ferdinand Magellan asked Raja Colombo for a kasi-kasi, a phrase called by Magellan for brotherhood relation. This was genesis of Phil-Spanish relation. The brotherhood relation was realized on board the Victoria, the flagship of Magellan, and sealed with artillery fired from Spanish fleet anchored on the southern end, Limasawa, now Barangay Magallanes.
Magellan's fleet arrived, a Baroto and outrigger approached the Spanish ships. The hospitality of the people of Limasawa was in contrast to the unfriendly treatment by the natives of South America. In Limasawa, the Spaniards met a cultured people. Colombo showed the ritual for drinking by raising his clasped hands towards the sky, then towards his guest, and pointing his fist towards a guest. The first mass was the mega event with artillery fired announcing the coming of Christianity in the Philippines to the world.
We have two primary sources. First, log kept by Francisco Albo.
The second is account of Antonio Pigafetta Primo, Viaggio Intorno al Mundo, first voyage around the
Albo's account, he did not mention the first mass. Pigapetta, on the other hand, mentioned the first mass was held in Mazawa on Easter Sunday, March 31, 1521.
Pigafetta is also seen as a credible source because his works instantly became a classic. That the prominent in the West use his books as reference in their interpretation of the world. The Chronicle of Igapita was one of the most cited documents by historians who wish by study the pre-colonial Philippines.
As a conclusion, we formulated and gathered data that we can prove that the first Mass dated and happened on Easter Sunday, March 21, 1521, at Masao, Butuan is clearly the site where the first Mass was held. It is because historians, archaeologists, and etc. were able to find credible artifacts or visible evidences in Butuan which the Limasawa Island did not contain and not Limasawa, Southern Leyte.